What's going on, y'all? This your boy Teddy, and we're back with another video. And technically, by NBA's standards, we are at the halfway point of the season. But technically, we're a little bit past the halfway point of the season. I think coming out of the break, certain teams only have about 25 games left, so that's a little bit past halfway. You know what I'm saying? Halfway would be 41. It's 82, 41, blah, blah, blah. But we are going to get into the mid-season review of the Boston Celtics. I gave y'all one a quarter of the way into the season. Gave y'all one right before the season started. Probably going to do one at the end of the regular season, a smaller video for momentum and expectations. Real small video at the end of the regular season. And then I'll always do a video at the end of the playoff round or whatever that may be, whether first round, second round, conference finals, whatever. I always do that video every year. I might not do these videos every year. I always do that video every year. So, before we get into it, hit my theme music.
Welcome to Teddy's Universe, where we get real wild and we put in work. I said.
Okay. We back. So the Boston Celtics are 43-12. That is number one in the Eastern Conference. That is number one in the NBA, which means if the playoffs started today, home field advantage will solely be in Boston's possession, no matter what the situation is. First round, second round, conference championships, NBA finals will all have to run through Boston, which would be great because the Boston Celtics are 26-3 at home this season. Started out 20-0 before dropping back-to-back games at home, and then dropped a later game right before, not before the break, but a couple weeks prior to the All-Star break. So that would be good. And I say that would be good because outside of being 26-3 at home, they are 17-9 on the road. Now, there's a lot of people that are fans of teams that would take 17-9 on the road. I'm not one of them, but my team has lofty expectations, so I'm not allowed to have those satisfactory expectations with 17-9. Now, I don't want to put it out there like the Celtics are horrible on the road, because they have a lot of games where a layup here or a free throw there, and they're easily probably 24-5 on the road. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the shot goes in, sometimes it doesn't. Excuse me. It's not like a case of sometimes it's not a case of being a bunch of turnovers, or some of these games they just didn't show up. You know what I'm saying? Getting blown out by Milwaukee by 50 in Milwaukee, they just didn't show up. Getting blown out by somebody else, they just not showing up. You know what I'm saying? So those games, okay. The other games where, hey, if they would have made that three-pointer, they would have won, or blah, blah, blah. So it's very important to me that the Celtics get home court advantage, which I really think they will. In the Eastern Conference, they are 6 games up on Cleveland Cavaliers, who are in second place. Milwaukee is in third place. Knicks 4th, Sixers 5th. Pacers 6th, Heat 7th, Magic 8th. But between 4 and 8, they're all so jumbled up. Like, they fluctuate really any given night, because one team loses, they drop down to 5th. Another team loses, they go from 5th to 8th. 8th wins, they go from 8th to 5th. You know what I'm saying? So it really fluctuates. So I'm glad Boston has a slight cushion now. We can't give it up in the last 25 games, which I don't really expect them to, because it's 25 games. I'm assuming out of 25 games, let's win about 17, 18 of them. You know what I'm saying? That'll be good to go. So now we're going to get into the last video. I touched on momentum and if I thought the Celtics had a chance to actually win the championship this year, and what my percentages was, et cetera, et cetera. So now, after having a much larger sample size and seeing just how much the Celtics have jailed since the last video, which was, like I said, a quarter of a way through the season, maybe out of the first 20 or something odd games, who knows? I forgot just exactly when I made the video. But after seeing Porzingis, play with these guys a little bit more, Drew Holiday settling into his role a little bit more, Peyton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, and these guys coming off the bench, your Al Horfords, play together a little bit more. I feel actually a little bit stronger right now than I did back then about the Celtics winning the championship this year. Potentially winning the championship this year. Anything could happen. Injuries, off series, whatever. But the potential and momentum is, I feel like it's a little bit stronger than what I had initially when I made the last video. So let's get into it. Now, obviously, I got a couple pictures here, and we're going to start with the newest first, which will be at the trade deadline. The Celtics acquired Jaden Springer, which you see the bottom right picture with the, I want to say, is that army green, olive green, but the non-Celtics green, even though it's a Celtics hoodie, the non-conventional Celtics green with the hair. That light skin, that's Jaden Springer. And then they acquired Xavier Tillman, who is seated right next to him in your more conventional Celtics color hoodie, even though that's a Jordan hoodie. Unless the Celtics are sponsored by Jordan, but I don't think so because they literally got Nike signs on all their jerseys and stuff, even on his hoodie. So I doubt if they're sponsored by Jordan, at least not yet. Jordan, look out for the cookout. Let's get into it. So Jaden Springer, who's more of a defensive specialist, but his offense has been coming around slowly but surely, but I'm quite sure that's not why we brought him in. We really brought him in to be like another defensive specialist when the time comes. Now, because we are so guard heavy, I don't know how much time exactly he's going to get, especially in the playoffs when the rotations tighten up a little bit. Now, one thing I will say about the Celtics is their rotations won't tighten up as much as other teams in the playoffs. I guess the deeper they go into the playoffs, then they might start to tweak it down to like the 9-man, 8-man rotations, which I don't like. Tires out the stars and stuff too much. You can't ask these guys to keep playing 45 minutes a night. Give these guys a break. Keep these guys as fresh as you possibly could. You know what I'm saying? Now, with this team that we have right now, hopefully, I know it's a lot to ask from the basketball gods. Hopefully, when the playoffs, do come around, assuming we're healthy and stuff like that, there will be plenty of blowouts by the Celtics to get rest that way. You're not playing these fourth quarters. You're not playing halfway through the third and all this and that. Hopefully, that's how it goes because that's the only way I feel comfortable about the Celtics winning. Well, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So, Jaden Springer, defensive specialist, good on-ball defense, great, side-to-side movement, very tenacious as far as like going for steals and stuff like that, and it's given opportunities. Like I said, I've seen them a couple of times this year. Obviously, they played Boston a couple times, and I think I've seen Philly play Brooklyn a couple times too. And he doesn't get a lot of minutes, but the minutes that he do get, he's very energetic. He hustles his ass off. He's a very good character kid, so I'm quite sure that's why Brad Stevens got him. So I'm on board. If he is able to crack the rotation, now again, there's Derek White, and there's Drew Holiday, and there's Peyton Pritchard. We did trade Delano Banton, who was a point guard, so maybe he gets some Delano Banton minutes, even though Banton didn't play a ton. Maybe he gets those minutes. And then we acquire Xavier Tillman, which is a gadget big man, power forward, can shoot an outside shot here and there, but we don't really need that from him while he's here. Another high IQ, high character guy. Love the way he expressed his mindset about coming to the Celtics after leaving the Grizzlies. Does the dirty work, man. He's rebounding. He boxes out. He plays great defense. For what we can expect from him now, I'm not saying he could stop a Joel Embiid or he could stop a Wembanyama or something like that. But he's going to compete, and he's going to make the best play all the time, which is what we need. I've been saying this for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer than that, 6, 7, because time is flying. We just needed super, super high IQ basketball players, and I felt like we didn't have that. While Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were becoming that, growing into that, they didn't have that around them. And I'm not going to get into who's who and all of this type of stuff, because that was another previous video. But I feel like they finally have that with Derek White and Drew Holiday, somebody who's, been a champion before. Derek White comes from a world-class organization of the Spurs, coached by, Coach Pop. They had a dynasty, 5 championships over a 20-year run, same thing as the Patriots in the NFL. And then you bring in Porzingis, who is, when you talk about the foreign players are kind of taught nowadays the right way to play basketball. So they come into the game like ahead of the curve. They know to make the right play. They know what to do. Porzingis has been very, very great. I'm going to get into him, pause, in a couple of seconds. But hopefully these guys can come in. We're not asking them to do too much because, again, the rotation is pretty set both ways with the guards and the big man. Big man, we have Porzingis. We got Al Horford, obviously. Then we got Neemias Queta. We have Luke Cornett, who's surprisingly also been good this year. I've talked a lot of trash about Cornett in the past. This year, Cornett has been super solid. I normally always will ask, why is Cornett on the team? What is Cornett doing in the league? Why is he not in China? Carpe, cue the China music. You know what I'm saying? He's been super solid this year, man. Every time he's playing meaningful minutes too. Some nights he starts and is asked to contribute, and he delivers. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting here one night and I'm watching Cornett not give up, but I'm watching him get like 26 points and 13 rebounds, and I'm like, yo, is this Cornett? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, he's been super solid this year. Obviously, Tillman is a little bit more solidified as far as like established in his position and character in the NBA. So I do think he sees meaningful minutes for sure, way more than Jaden Springer. So I got into Porzingis a little bit, pause, and Porzingis has been, outside of him having like off nights, a little inconsistent, but for the most part, when Porzingis plays from like the post, he's money. Now, the threes is hit and miss. Some nights he's on fire. Some nights he can't buy a three. We'll live with that because we have the firepower. As long as somebody else is on, which is normally either Tatum, Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Al Horford hits timely shots. You don't have to be like on fire every night because more than likely somebody will. You know what I'm saying? So he gives us this post presence that we haven't had in a long time. Somebody that you could just throw the ball down in the post and he can get a bucket. You know what I mean? And that opens up the offense and the spacing so well for everybody else. You get Derek White with all these open threes. You get your Drew Holiday, who's a proven champion, tenacious on the defensive end, with all these open threes. Sometimes it even gets Tatum all these open threes. Now, I don't know if Tatum will take these open threes because he seems to like to do that sidestep thing anyway. You know what I'm saying? Tatum be wide open. He'll sidestep and then shoot the three anyway. Like, bro, just shoot the three. You ain't got to sidestep, cuz. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, it opens up the spacing for Jaylen Brown, who likes to drive in, dunk on people sometimes. Definitely is really a missing piece that the Celtics need. And then you get to your two All-Stars, which is Tatum and Brown. And one thing I said I want to say against the Heat in the playoffs last year, while they were making the comeback from 3-0, well, technically it's not a comeback because we lost. But they went down 3-0, and I think when it was 3-2, I think I made a tweet that said that, the Celtics are only going to go as Tatum and Brown goes. And you could surround them. Now, this is before we got Holiday and Porzingis or whatever, by the way. And I was like, you could surround them with all the talent, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to them two. They're going to be the ones that have to go win this championship because when it's clutch time and it's time to get a bucket, time to make a play, it can't be Derek White, it can't be Drew Holiday, can't be Horford, it cannot be Quater, Cornett, Pritchard, Hauser. My sharpshooters has to come from the two All-Stars, as you see in the top. Well, I guess technically would be the middle top picture, Jalen and Jason. Has to come from them. You guys making the All-Star game. You guys making these All-Pro NBA teams. All-Pro NBA. All NBA teams. You guys getting these mega max contracts. You guys have to deliver the championship. You win the title, I'm 1,000% sure one of you guys are going to be Finals MVP. Barring just somebody blitzing, going crazy out of their mind, which probably could be Derek White. Tatum and Brown, one of them will win the Finals MVP if they win the championship. So it has to come from them. which bothers me a little bit because when the pressure's on and it's clutch situations, that's pretty much when, Tatum is at his worst. It's not I ain't saying he's horrible, but he just isn't. I feel like that's the last piece of his game he has to master before Tatum is really like just one of them dudes. You know what I'm saying? So when people talk about Tatum not winning the MVP, even though it's some egregious reasons why, they're referencing him from 3 years ago. 2 years ago, he played bad in the finals, so he can't win MVP this year. It's a bunch of egregious takes out there. But being the best player on the best team when it matters is important to like being an MVP, and that's why I think like a Jokic, and even though they do got like people like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander over him, I don't think he's better than Tatum, especially this season. He's putting up nice numbers, but when you look at impact as far as like record wise and expectations, they're pretty much doing the same thing, but because Tatum has more experience, or he's had more success at a younger age, his bar is raised. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, that's a different story for another video that I'm probably not gonna make. I'm really hoping that we have a couple of close games towards the end of the season. A few more, like maybe give us like 7 to 8 close games. Now, when I said that we needed to go like 18-7 in them last 25. Hopefully the 7 losses don't come from clutch situations, but I hope there are some clutch situations where the Celtics can get a little bit more experience in handling business in a close game and a tight setting when the pressure's on and everything's slowed down, because that's how the playoffs are, you know what I'm saying? And they learn from that heading into the playoffs. Now, I do feel like when it comes to the playoffs, we don't know how that's really going to shape up because they have the whole play-in tournament thing. But I got the standings right here, and obviously, like I stated them earlier, I'm cool with the Celtics playing any of these teams. Now, we've had some heated battles with the Magic, with the Heat, and the Pacers. Sixers, Knicks, Bucks, Cavs, all these guys. But I'm confident the Celtics can and will beat all these teams in the playoffs. Now, obviously, the mental hurdle will come against the Heat and probably the Pacers. I think we've finally gotten over the mental hurdle with the Magic because they were a pest on our sides these last few years. 76ers missing Embiid, not really worried about them. I am worried about it on the strength of the Celtics. When they don't have to play against, severe competition, they tend to come out and just half-ass it, basically, and then that creates a problem in itself. The game I could remember the last was before I think the Celtics are on a 7-game win streak right now, but before the 7-game win streak, I think we played against the Lakers without LeBron and without Anthony Davis. And we lost. And we were fully healthy, but we lost. So, hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully, you can only just hope. Knicks, I'm not really worried about. I am kind of worried about it because I'm not, but Jalen Brunson, they got a high IQ, high motor, super smart, super talented. OG Anunoby, they acquire Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Pistons at the trade deadline. Obviously, Julius Randle's hurt, but I'm quite sure he'll be back in time for the playoffs. That it might affect them, seeding-wise, but they'll still be in the playoffs. The Bucks, not really worried about. Obviously they've beaten us soundly this year, but not really worried about Doc Rivers in the playoffs. They lost to a Grizzlies team that had literally 10 injuries on the report. I don't know. Cavs, when healthy, probably the scariest because they're a complete team. Now, experience might doom them, but this could be the year that they learn from last year. They do better this year, so I don't know. But I like the Celtics' chances in the East. It's probably going to come down to the Western Conference. I don't know who makes it out of that. So many good teams in the West, man. The West is absolutely stacked. This reminds me like when I used to be like in high school, and the Western Conference was absolutely crazy. Like you had teams like you couldn't make the playoffs in the West if you didn't have 50-plus wins. You know what I'm saying? Like just think about that. I'm pulling up the 8th seed. I got the 8th seed right now is the Kings. The 9th seed is the Lakers. The Kings are HC at 31-23. It's only, like I said, it's only about 27. That's about 28 games for them left. So just think, back then, if you didn't win 50 games, you would be eliminated. Now you could possibly make it with just like, I'm not gonna say 40, but a little bit past 40. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see how things shake out. I am confident in the Celtics. If I had to go on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident I am that the Celtics will win the championship this year. I raised up. I think I'm at about an 8, maybe 8.5. You know what I'm saying? Right now, everything's going smoothly. Like I said, 43-12. I nitpick the losses because if the Celtics really play with their shit together, the Celtics are easily about 50-5 right now. If they make a couple free throws here, they make a layup there. They're easily like 50-5 right now, and this is looking super crazy. This is really looking super crazy, and then the hype would have been undeniable. But we'll take it with the championship. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that happens. Anyways, like, comment, share, subscribe. Thank y'all for tuning in to this TED Talks. Go Celtics. I'm out.
Welcome to Ted B's Universe, where we get real wild and we put in work. I said